5, well, an NFL preseason game between the San Francisco 49ers and the Oakland Raiders turning violent this weekend. Take a look at this video taken inside Candlestick Park, where fans from both teams pummeled each other with punch after punch. But it didn't end there. Police are also investigating not one, but 2 shootings that happened outside the stadium after the game was over. Well, unfortunately, this is just another example in a string of recent sporting events where fans have crossed the line. And we remember the story, of course, where the father, Brian Stowe, was beaten nearly to death, still remains in critical condition from the San Francisco Giants and LA Dodgers game. But, Bob, you have some interesting thoughts about this, because the question is, what can you do? And that's a picture of the father.
Well, a couple things. First of all, those guys throwing those punches, you throw that many punches, nobody goes down. They're probably a bunch of weaklings anyway. But, look, this
what
is
happening.
What
are you talking about, 6'4" and 225?
Listen, this is happening more and more and more, and it's tough to get control over. They start the thing 3 hours before the game. They have tailgate parties. They all get loaded up, and then they go inside. You're not going to be able to stop that. But this is what I would do, and some teams have this as part of their deal. If you get caught once being drunk and disturbing, you're out of the stadium. Twice, you lose your season tickets. 3 times, you ought to be banned from football for life. You're not going to stop people from drinking, but you either can cut it down a little bit, although that doesn't help all that much. And let's not forget, there's a lot of drugs that are working their way into this thing, too. It's out of control, and I'll tell you something, the NFL better do something. They got a lot of work to do. They're still living in the Vince Lombardi days. You guys had to grow up and get about taking care of people, both on the field and off.
Oh, my gosh, that was the Baba-log.
Thank you.
The Baba-log.
Yeah, but on a serious note, this wasn't the only incident this weekend. There was also a fight between the Ravens fans and the Chiefs. And, in fact, you know who had to sensibly come break it up, Dana? A woman. She told them, yelling at them all, telling them stop fighting, and threw a drink on them to get them to cool off. I mean, this is
It's kind of surprising. When I've gone to very few sporting events, and I know that will shock Eric, but the ones that I've gone to, there seems to be a lot of security. In all of these videos, there's no security. What disturbs me is that it seems like it's just yet another example of how we're becoming more like the UK. Remember, when I lived there, if you went to a soccer match, you were going to end up probably in the middle of a brawl with the hooligans.
Pummeled.
Yeah, the really, really sad part is these sporting events should be about the kids, not about these drunken morons. Look, a couple of observations. These were preseason games, and my guess is that the teams or the stadiums didn't supply enough security because it wasn't a regular season game, so their revenues weren't going to be as high. Honestly, what they're going to end up doing is in hockey. Now you can't buy a beer after the first period. First it was after the second period. Now they've moved it back to the first period. Mm-hmm. They're going to be doing the same thing in football. They're going to be, stopping beer sales at halftime or something, unfortunately, because a couple of morons. But Bob's right. They
don't you have to do that?
To jail.
They have a responsibility. I mean, there's people now, like Danny said, they don't want to take their kids. There's a great quote. Rafael Nunez of Fremont, California, he attended Saturday's game, but said he and his friends don't bring their kids even to these Raiders games. I'm from the Bay Area.
Let's keep another thing in mind. There's 20,000 cars in those parking lots.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are driving out of there drunk, and a lot of people are getting hurt because of it. I mean, and I'm not saying this because of my own past, but I can tell you something. When you get that many people that drunk, and a lot of it's not just a few, I wish it were, I think they may have to stop serving after, the first half. That'll drive people crazy, but that's what
Greg,
it takes.
What do you think?
Well, I don't know. The sad thing about this story is I like watching the brawls. When they're on,
At least you're honest.
I mean, everybody does. So everybody sits there and goes, "This is terrible. This is terrible." But you're like this, going, "Whoa! Oh my God!" Everybody loves this stuff. That's why you watch hockey.
Well,
the funny thing is, can you
UFC?
blame them? It's the Raiders. The symbol of the Raiders is a pirate with a knife. Am I right? Yeah. What do you expect?
Well, they live up to it, okay? Has anybody checked out the number of penalties they get? They lead the league in penalties.
In the 70s, the Raiders were amazing. They were such a wild group. They had Stabler and Alzado and Lester Hayes. But now it's the fans.
The snake.
It's now the fans.
Why the fans are taking over because the Raiders suck. That's why.
That's my point.
I mean, don't ever bet on them this year.
Or unemployment in the Bay Area is around 12%. California.
Oh, that's 12%. Right. That's right. And the reason not enough cops.
Impeach Obama.
Obama. Convince everybody to cut back on
fear and anxiety in America.
All I can say is this would never, ever happen at a Broncos game.
I thought you were going to say under Bush.
But it would
never happen under Bush.
It would happen at a Philadelphia
I'm surprised
Eagles
that Bob
game.
didn't find a way to blame the Iraq War and Bush in that segment.
No, I didn't, but I do. As a former player, I can tell you the other things. We didn't like this stuff either. I mean, because it held up the game. It was unpleasant for everybody. We did all the fighting we wanted to do on the field.
Well, and maybe the players should come out and say something.
That's a great idea.
Well, they should. They should make a statement. Because look at this. I mean, you got that guy throwing punches like he's in UFC fighting for his life with the Montana jersey.
It'd be helpful if every one of these NFL players didn't go after the words and get drunk at bars with their mink coats on. You know, I mean, it's.
Honestly, the league definitely has to get out in front of this. I mean, they make $9 billion a year. They got to put absolute added security.
You're taking on management.
Absolutely.
Good.
No, but
I love you.
You know what? This is about the kids. I mean, I can imagine my 13-year-old sitting there watching that going on. I would be horrified.
But the real horror here is how unattractive these fans are.
Listen,
oh my gosh, are you really on my San Francisco?
I'm
a Bay Area. I can say that.
Listen, I took my kid to see a football game, the Redskins game. Believe it or not, and a guy next to me, a guy came down and jumped and started fighting him right in front of my kid, and I was afraid for my kid, so I had to put both of them out. But the point is that by the time the cops got there, they
you're
came.
Part of the problem.
No. I had to remove them. And the other thing I did do was good against Dallas, which used to be a big thing with the Redskins. They were beating up a Dallas guy in the men's room, and I actually went in there and tried to help the Dallas guy, and I got the hell beat out of him.
This is very
interesting.
Should be at the compelling. Well, the Rose Bowl is going to have new guidelines too that are better, like less time in the parking lots, etc., to make it a family
and more time on the floats.
I like that. I like that.
Tailgating.
All right, we're just getting started. It seems like, right? We got much more coming up on the 5. That's next. Stay with us.
Yeah.